feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the great.
I used to think that I was a quiet and shy kid and that there was nothing special about the way I carried myself. But one moment really hit me hard and I will never forget it. It was right after COVID lockdowns when we returned to regular school. I walked in surrounded by people that I hadn't seen in a very long time, and it was like no one knew how to socialize anymore. I remember seeing my old friends and it was like, oh, hey, good to see you. And then we didn't even know where to go from there. It was so obvious that none of us had spoken to anyone in a long time. And so I realized that during the lockdown, we'd spent so much time locked in our rooms and in our houses that when we got into public, we didn't know how to talk. We didn't know how to socialize anymore. And so the truth is that most people today have absolutely zero charisma. The average person spends 6 hours a day looking at their phones. Think about that. That is a quarter of your life lost to a screen every single day. It's no wonder that people are so awkward. We've forgotten how to read body language. We've forgotten how to listen with intent. And we've forgotten how to bring good energy into conversations. We've essentially traded social interaction in real life with social media, and it really shows. I remember being one of those people, fumbling through life, trying to blend into the background. So for the last few years, I've been working and improving my conversational skills and my charisma. But the thing that actually impacted me the most was my sales job that I had recently in the middle of a busy mall. I literally had to stop strangers, sell to them, and I had to do all of that without having to sound like a robot. It was brutal at first and I was really bad at it. But day after day, pushing beyond my comfort zone, I started to get good at it. I really learned how to get people's attention, to make them feel comfortable, and then to sell to them. And let me tell you, once you can say that you can confidently speak to anybody without really caring what they think, it is something powerful. That job was like a crash course in charisma. It's not really about what I said, but the way that I did say things. It was really the way I carried myself and the energy that I brought and the eye contact I made. All of those things, the little things that we kind of skip over in day-to-day conversations, those are the most important. And it really taught me that charisma isn't some sort of magical trait that everyone's born with or only a few people are born with. It's something that you and I can learn and something that you and I can improve on. And guess what? It made me better at everything. I got better at talking to people. I got better at leading. I got better at making new friends. And so my confidence, as you can probably tell, shoots through the roof. Charisma isn't just about being likable, but it's also about being able to influence others. It's about leadership, and no one becomes a great leader without having a lot of charisma. To lead, you need to be able to inspire, and you need to be able to connect with people in a deep way, not just the surface level. And this is where a lot of people miss the mark. They think that being charismatic is just about being funny, but honestly, it's a lot more than that, and it's a lot deeper. It's also about being present, understanding what people are actually saying, having emotional intelligence, and so many other small factors that we ignore. And having charisma is literally what makes people want to work with you. It's what makes people want to follow you. It's what makes people want to know who you are. Being charismatic will make you more successful, more respected, and yes, it'll even make you wealthier. People are drawn to confidence. They're drawn to people who can make them feel seen and heard. And when you build that skill, you can take it into every part of your life. The first thing I did to level up my charisma was exposing myself daily to social situations. It wasn't about building deep connections right away, but mainly getting comfortable. The more I did, the better I got at speaking to random people. And what I really like to do is warm up every single day to social interaction, right? So just starting off by saying hi to people that I walk past. That gets you into the social mood to talk more and more throughout the day. And after warming up, I really feel like I can talk to anyone about anything. And warming up to people just by saying hello, good morning, things like that really just puts you in a good mood for the rest of your day. And when you do that, people can sense your good energy, and so they'll want to speak to you more. And there was a time that I used to take everything super seriously. I cared so much about what other people thought that I didn't really know how to take jokes or enjoy social time. I was always in my own head trying not to embarrass myself, and that kind of made me seem stiff and boring. And after I got my job in sales, I realized that people like you a lot more when you're light and playful. And I found that it really doesn't matter what you say, but it's the energy that you bring when you say those things. Sometimes I literally walk up to people and say something completely random like, "Hey, have you seen my portal anywhere? I've been looking for it for a while." And then it sets the mood for this playful and enjoyable conversation that you can use to get to know that person. So being playful is just gonna be like opening a door, and it's gonna break all of that tension. And I found that a lot of people are drawn to those who don't take themselves too seriously. At one point, I thought that talking a lot about myself would make people like me more. That the more that I spoke about me, my goals, my ambitions, and all those things, all the cool stuff about me, the more that I would say and the more things that I would tell them, the more that they would like me more. But it turns out people don't really care about what you're doing as much as they care about themselves, right? And so if you can find a way to get people to talk a lot more about themselves and have them speaking mostly in the conversation, they're gonna like you a lot more because people really love to talk about themselves. So the trick is to get them to do most of the talking. And so I found the best way to do this was to just ask them questions about their life, what they're doing, and their goals, ambitions, or whatever questions you have about them. And one thing I really like to do actually is to make a few assumptions and get them to correct me. This keeps the flow of the conversation going, and it keeps like a light and playful tone. For example, if I met someone today and I was like, "Oh, what do you do?" And they said, "I'm actually a firefighter." And then I would say something like, "Oh, so you run into buildings and you save people's lives?" And then they'd be like, "Well, no, that's actually not my job. My job is to go up on the ladders and to save people from the buildings," right? And so you see how that keeps the conversation going, right? It gets them to explain more and more what they actually do. And so making assumptions actually gives people the opportunity to correct you and to clarify what they really do. And it also keeps the conversation going. When you make people feel heard, they respect you a lot more. And it shows that you have the confidence to give them the spotlight. One of the biggest confidence boosters for me was improving my presentation. Before I started focusing on self-improvement, I didn't really pay attention to the way that I dressed or the way that I presented myself to other people. But as I worked on my appearance, as I worked on my posture, as I worked on the way that I presented myself to other people, I actually found that I gained a lot more confidence, because if you know that you look good, you're going to be a lot more confident than if you go out not knowing for sure if you look good, if everything's put together well, if you're presenting yourself well. So if you're putting your best foot forward and presenting yourself in good light, you're going to have a lot more confidence going forward. And people treat you a lot differently when you look and feel put together. Dressing well and having strong posture makes a huge difference, and people can sense it. It's a reflection of your inner confidence, and people pick up on that immediately. As I grew and improved myself, I noticed that younger guys, especially those with big goals and big ambitions, started to really look up to me. I realized that as you start to get better and better at something, people really look up to what you have to say, and it's a huge responsibility. If you're careless with your words, you might unintentionally crush someone's dreams. And that's why it's so important to show genuine praise. When someone opens up to you about their struggles or hardships, make sure that you praise them for their efforts. Even if they're going through tough times, it's important to lift those people up and to ensure them that those tough times and those hardships are a part of growth. And so showing genuine praise is such an important thing for not only having good charisma and being a good person, but also for leadership. When I was aimless and playing video games all day, I didn't have a lot to talk about. You can only talk about video games for so long before it becomes boring to other people. But once I started having goals and having a plan and direction for my life, people found me a lot more engaging. Having goals gave me something to talk about that mattered a lot to me. And people really respect someone who knows what they want with their life. Having a mission and a purpose sets you apart from most people. It gives you a strong sense of direction, and that makes you a very interesting person because you know where you want to go and you're always working towards something that matters to you. One thing I'm working on right now is being a better storyteller, because everyone has a lot of stories to tell, but no one really knows how to tell them well. A trick I learned is knowing exactly when to bring them up. You shouldn't just launch into a story randomly. The conversation has to kind of be flowing before you really get into a good deep story. Once you've built rapport and you've had the conversation going for a while, you can say something like, oh, that actually reminds me of this one time, and then go on to the story. And honestly, storytelling is a fine art. Great storytellers use dramatic pauses, a lot of emotions, and different techniques to really captivate the audience. I'm not going to go specifically into how I storytell because honestly, there's so many different types of storytellers out there, and you really need to find your way of storytelling because everyone has their own unique sense of telling stories. And so the way to find that is to just tell more and more stories to friends, family, and other people. And that's how you find your type of storytelling. One of the best ways I've found to build more confidence is to heal past trauma. And healing past trauma, I found the best way for me to heal past trauma is to meditate on it. Sometimes when I meditate, I'll go and find a video for healing trauma, right? Meditation for healing trauma. And there's a lot of really great videos out there that can help you clear and flush out all the past trauma so that when you get back into reality, you have so much more confidence because all those things in the past, you've went back to them and you've resolved them. This has really helped me to open up a lot more and to be a lot more present in my conversations. Meditation also really helps me to reduce my anxiety and increase my focus a lot so that I could listen and internalize everything someone has to say. Reading has expanded my mind in a lot of different ways, and it's really helped to expand my vocabulary and make connections to a lot of things people have to say. And the more things that you know, the more confidence you have in your ability to learn about or to understand any topic that someone brings up. Reading also helps me to gain a lot of new different perspectives so that I can better understand what someone has to say when they're speaking to me. One of the easiest ways to get into a good mood and to be happier throughout your days is to practice gratitude. The easiest way for me to get in a better mood is just to be grateful. Whenever I write 3 things down that I'm grateful for every day, for the rest of the day, I literally just feel happier. And after doing that for a few weeks, like your happiness increases a lot overall. And everyone that's around me can actually see the difference. I used to have low confidence because I always wanted to be that guy who was strong and had a 6-pack. So what did I do? I worked my tail off to get it. And so I actually did. Developing my body and working hard on it every single day increased my confidence so much just because I wanted something and I worked hard to get it and I finally achieved it. And I'm so grateful for my past self for going through all those workouts and working hard to get me to the point where I am today. And so I realized that developing my body was one of the best ways that I could actually increase my confidence because when you work out and you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you're just a lot more confident overall. And people really respect that. So I want you to start today and keep going. And you'll be thanking yourself later, honestly. Doing all of these things really helped to boost my charisma. And I want you to try some of these things and apply them today. Make sure to go down right now and subscribe. And remember, you deserve the consequences of your actions.